I'm going to pick this up and hold it in my hand and think about my clear lungs.
Right.
She's actually replacing it with a positive behavior.
Exactly.
And so it's going to be so much more effective
and
that way.
we got in touch with her recently, and what is today's date? The 19th of March. So since January 1st, she's been smoke-free. So we really applaud her
really
because
great.
we all know it's not easy. It's not easy to quit anything that you love.
That's really
But
great.
speaking of your epiphany, we had one basically, and what we realized when we were doing this, and really it motivated us so tremendously, was the thought of helping millions of people change the way they think, change their life, even in the smallest way, to feel that joy of looking forward to a positive thing in their life, to any positive thing. Being, you know, maybe your sister hasn't called you for a couple of weeks, and she suddenly calls you. That you go
told me
out.
about somebody that happened to, that they thought.
Yeah, a friend of mine, I had given her the stones, and she called me and said, "This is so strange." She said, "I picked up the stones, I looked at it, and I was worried about my sister, who hadn't called me for a couple of days, and we speak 3, 4, 5 times a day. And I thought she was avoiding me. And as soon as I put the stones in my hand, and I picked up the white stone.
That's the one for family
for peace and harmony.
Oh, peace and harmony, okay.
And I said, okay, well, I'm going to let all this negativity go, and I know it's going to be fine. She said, while I'm holding the stone and saying this, the phone rings. And it's my sister saying, I wasn't avoiding you.
I hope you didn't think I was avoiding you.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said. But I've been so busy the last 2 days, I don't want you to think I was avoiding you. And she said, for a split second, I didn't answer her.
Yeah.
And she's calling my name, and finally I said, oh, okay.
Let me tell you about this. But there's one more story I wanted you to tell, because it's kind of a dramatic story.
Yes.
And I wanted you to tell about your uncle.
I was called, for my uncle was being rushed to the hospital because he had suddenly taken very ill. He'd gotten this very high temperature. And they called me to go down to the hospital. And I went down there, and I always have my stones with me, always. And I immediately put on a yellow blouse to attract. Yellow is the sun, color of health. So I go down there. By the time I got down there, he was in the emergency room. Within, I'd say, 15 minutes, he stopped talking, and he was in ICU, and he was on life support systems. By the time they got him settled and I went in the room, his blood pressure was roughly 50/20. And they had called.
That's like shake him to make sure he's still alive.
Right, well, that's what they said. They said, basically, he's dead. I said, he is not dead, and he's not going to die. And the doctor said to me, you really have to be realistic, and, you know, is telling me that a man his age, and he's in his 80s, and that he's not, you know, well, he has all these other problems, is not going to survive, and he's going to send up a deacon to talk to me about accepting the inevitable. And I said, it is not inevitable, and I will not accept it. You've done your job. You told me what to expect. Now I have to deal with what I have to deal with. The only thing I ask you is not to have anything more negative. You can believe what you want. You've warned me of it, but that's that. And I got the stones in my hand. I got the health stone between my finger, the gratitude stone in this hand, and I held his hand with this hand, and I said, thank you, God, for Nicky's complete healing and for giving him a complete recovery. And I kept saying to my uncle, Nicholas, you're completely well. You're completely healed. The only thing you have to do is concentrate on regaining your strength. Believe and know that you're well. And remember the sun when you used to come, how you loved the beach, you used to come out of the cold water, lay in the sun, close your eyes, and you would feel the warmth of that sun permeating every cell of your body. And the light, the sun was so bright that it would come right through your eyelids. And at that moment, you felt your healthiest and the most well-being you've ever felt.
And while you're telling him all this, he's in a coma.
He's in a coma on life support system.
And the nurses and the people are coming into the room.
And thinking, I'm completely out of my mind.
And you didn't let that, you just kept going.
I did, and my other cousin was with me, my cousin Barbara, and she was with me. And she's sitting there, she's going, Janet, the numbers are going up. Janet, the numbers are going up. And I just kept repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. And the night nurse is coming on, and she takes one look at me. She goes, you know, you can't be in here. So I turned to her and I said, you have to let me in here. When you have a procedure, I won't come in. But when you are not, let me come in. It can't do anything. Well, after I talked to her for a few minutes, she said, okay. And I did this all night long. And by morning, his blood pressure was 110/60. Mm-hmm. In 3 days, he was off life support completely. Mm-hmm. And within a week and a half, he was back at his home. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And every one of those
did he know what had happened?
Because when he gained consciousness, he was very ornery. And I said to him, Nick, I said, just think how you're healed. God has completely healed you. And I said, do you remember? And before I could finish, he said, believe, know, and I am healed. I am healthy. God has cured me. I remember, I heard it, Janet,
you were saying to him.
And those were, the words,
what
he remembered of them. And he was supposed to be, by all intents and purposes, and by every professional that was there, he should have been dead. Mm-hmm. And he's still alive and well.
Well, see, now, yep, you just weren't ready to let it happen. So I was looking at some of the different things, and I was thinking about the different stones and the different things. So we have the love stone. What did you think about that, Sandy? Did it help you concentrate?
Yeah, it did. And this is very warm.
Doesn't it feel good?
It's like, whoa, you know, I mean, it just...
It gets really warm.
And the love and the or the happiness are positioned nicely together, so that way, you know, because I think about, you know, all of the people that I have in my life already, you know, so how grateful I am for those people as well. So that's very nice the way you...
That was conscious.
Yes.
Well, so many cultures have something, like they have the rosary, or they've got the worry beads, and it's just very nice to have, I don't know, some structure. It helps me.
Well, and what you mentioned too about the temperature, it's funny because so many people write into us and say that the stones do transfer, like the heat from your body, heat goes onto those stones, and that really helps you recenter.
You had talked earlier about somebody that was very, very conservative and very skeptical.
The email started out that he had received it as a gift from somebody, and that it wasn't something that he ever thought he believed in, the law of attraction or whatever. And but he said that because of the thoughtfulness of the gift, he was going to try it. And he has this little routine where every morning when his wife gets up to leave for work, he's still home before he leaves for work, and he's laying in bed, and he usually says his prayers about, please God, you know, have my wife get to work safe and sound, watch over my 3 daughters, so on and so forth, his family, world peace and all that stuff, quote unquote. And he said, so the day after he received the gift of the stones, he held them in his hands while he was saying his usual prayers that morning. And what surprised him the most was that the stones heated up so much. So it really, he said it felt good. It was something totally unexpected for him, who was sort of never even thought about the law of attraction before or its applications in his life.
Well, I think that anything that can give us more ways to focus on whatever your personal belief is, anything that helps you focus on thinking about the positive things that you want and the actions you're going to take are really helpful. And that's why I wanted to have you. And can you believe we've already talked for more than half an hour, and we're already out of time, and we just got here.
Time flies.
Time really does fly when you're having fun, but it was really great to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
It was
nice to meet you too.
And to talk about the law of attraction and the thoughts, they're called thought-centering stones.
Yes.
If people want to find out more about them, they could look that up, thought-centering stones, because that information's available out there.
Yep.
And thanks very much for coming and seeing us today, and I'll see you again soon.